Hello students, this is Mr. B here, just filling you in on an update I have for your Project 1. So as I might have mentioned to some of you, we were planning on doing a challenge, which is a big kind of large project the whole school does together starting this week. So I was planning on just having Project 1 out and then you starting the challenge this week. But it looks like we're going to delay the challenge to next week just to give the teachers a little bit more time to prepare to make sure it's all good. And so I'm adding a part 2 to your Project 1 to get a little bit more content in so you guys have some science for this week. So if you remember, we left off with the first part of the project. You had analyzed your new substance that you found and given a presentation to middle school students back on Earth, explaining like the density and the mass of the object versus the weight and all those good things. So after you give a successful presentation on Mars, you back in your base, you are doing some more experiments and you want to go out and explore more with your rover. So you remember I mentioned a rover last time. This is a picture of an actual lunar rover that the astronauts on the moon used to drive around on the moon. And so you get in your lunar rover and you're driving around and you one day park it in a really hot part of Mars. And so your lunar rover has, this is a fuel tank, and it's filled with fuel. The fuel is a liquid. And when you park it in a hot part of Mars, you go out, do your experiment, you come back, and you realize that the liquid has completely evaporated. So instead of it being liquid inside your fuel tank, it's a gas now. And you try to start your rover to go back to base, but it doesn't work. So you have to figure out a way to cool off the fuel in your rover, and eventually you do, and you get back to the base, but you're a little irritated by it. And then later, let's see if I can erase this, you are out doing some more experiments later on in the week, and you happen to park your rover in a really cold part of Mars in the shade. And by the way, this is real. Mars has really extreme temperature variations. It's because they don't have an atmosphere that's as dense as Earth's atmosphere. So when you park your rover in the shade, the fuel is liquid when you start, but then it starts to do what? It starts to freeze. So it turns from a liquid into a solid. Okay? And this is a big problem. You're realizing, hey, I'm spending all this time and my valuable money and all these resources on Mars just dealing with this fuel that keeps evaporating and freezing in the extreme temperatures of Mars. So your commander eventually gets word of this, and the commander asks, why does this keep freezing and evaporating? And apparently your commander didn't do very well in middle school science. I'm not sure how your commander got to be a commander of a Mars mission. But in any case, this commander didn't do very well. And so you're going to have to explain to your commander some of the physics behind why the fuel keeps evaporating and freezing, and come up with some ideas to try to fix it. So I updated the part 1 or the project 1 directions. So let's go over some of the new things that you're going to have to do. So you're going to have to explain what thermal energy is in 2 to 3 sentences. Thermal energy is what is causing this fuel to evaporate and freeze. And thermal energy is the same thing as temperature. And I can do an explanation of that if you guys are confused, so please just contact me. You have to explain the difference between a solid, a liquid, and a gas, 2 sentences each. You're going to have to draw a diagram that shows what happens to the molecules of the fuel when they are in a solid, liquid, and gas state and thermal energy is added. Make sure that you have 1 diagram each for all 3 of these states of matter. And just, show what happens to the molecules, because the thermal energy is going to cause them to change, which makes it switch between these states. And then you're going to offer a suggestion about how to fix the problem with the fuel. You can be creative. Anything you can think of that might solve the problem is free game. So there you go. There's part 2 of Project 1.